Hi, and welcome to this edition of The Spirit of the Valley. I have my monthly buddy with me, Larry Ruffing, who's the fitness director at CCBA. And as you probably know, you old faithfuls out there, he comes on roughly once a month and we just babble about fitness. And we find that we never really shut up. So it's a good thing we have constraints. Welcome back, Larry.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're here.
Yeah,
we decided to do one of our favorite, actually, one of the fun ones is some of the myths and fiction of fitness and exercise versus the facts. And there's so many questions and so many misunderstandings about what to do, when to do it, how to do it, how often to do it. And we thought we'd just get some more. We've got a lot of them that we've come upon and responses of people out there. And first one out is one that we were just talking about the other day, or someone was. If I stop exercising, all my muscle turns to fat.
Right, yeah. That's a big one.
I've heard this a lot.
That is a big one. And as we know, from a physiological standpoint and the body standpoint, that can't happen. They're two entirely different cells within the body. So muscle does not turn to fat, fat does not turn to muscle. You lose fat and gain muscle, or lose muscle and gain fat, depending on which side of the spectrum you're in on the exercising part. So yes, fat, I know, and fat does not turn to muscle, muscle doesn't turn to fat, but a lot of people feel that. It's been a myth for a long time.
Yeah.
And I remember even growing up, a guy said, well, I don't want to be lifting that because, if you stop, all your muscle turns to fat.
And they say it about pro athletes. Oh, I bet that guy, when he stops playing, he's going to just be all flab. And hopefully that's just not true, because there's a compensation thing in there that doesn't let that happen.
No, true. And one of the things we say is if you don't use it, you lose it. And that's never more apparent than it is if you stop playing a sport, you stop lifting. It just decreases in size because you're not using it, and then you're probably still taking in the same amount of calories, food-wise. You're not getting the same amount of exercise, therefore you're going to add fat to your body and not the lean body mass or the lean muscle mass that you like. So that's where the change comes in.
It's
that's
not
how
that fat turned to muscle turned to fat, it's that you added some by being less active.
Less active and probably still eating the same amount of food.
Yeah, I think people forget the in and out part of it.
Right.
And you do have to adjust. I had a slowdown this summer, and I was very conscious of being really extra careful about what I put in my mouth, because I wasn't able to do much, and it's no fun.
No, I mean, it isn't, and because we have to understand that if we stop exercising, stop doing things, our metabolism slows down. Therefore, if we're still taking in the same amount of food that we were taking in prior, our metabolism is not burning it. We're going to store it. 9 times out of 10, we store it as fat. Therefore, our fat increases and the muscle decreases because we haven't been using it. Now, it takes 7 days, before you really start to lose that, and it's minimal at that. But a lot of people don't realize that all you have to do is exercise once every 7 days, and you can maintain what you have. So
and this is going to appear later too, because it's a question of how often and this kind of thing. Okay, another very popular one. Working out abs all the time will get me a six-pack. How's that one?
That's a good one. A lot of people feel that way. But your ab muscle is just like any other muscle in the body. It needs rest in between. And we've talked about this a couple of times at the facility, that when you do resistance training or strength training, as we want to talk about it, lifting weights, using bands, or whatever it might be, 2 changes happen within the body. The body releases 2 chemicals. One that tears it down, one that builds it back up. That process takes 48 hours. So I want to wait that extra time and give my body the rest. So usually if you start an exercise program, do you feel sorest the next day or 2 days later? Most people will say 2 days later. Therefore, I don't want to work out 2 days later. I want to give it that extra rest. We also say gains are not made in the gym, but they're made at night when you're sleeping.
And that's what the hardest thing to make sense for people.
Right.
It really doesn't sound right, but a lot happens when you're sleeping.
It certainly does.
And not many people really think about it unless they have sleep problems, and then they find out more about it. But that's when your body is doing good things and instead of nothing.
Right.
That we think.
So if we get back to the ab situation, if you work those muscles on a Monday, you want to give them a couple of days off. I mean, it doesn't mean you can't do cardio or something else, but it's just like any other muscle in your body. You want to give it rest so it can overcome the stress that you put on it, adapt, get stronger, get bigger, help you get that six-pack that you want, and you'll come back feeling better, but you'll be able to do more. 3 days after you worked, it's like one day, it would be a Monday, Thursday split or a Tuesday, Friday, that type of deal. But give it enough rest so that it can recover. You'll see better results as well.
And have a whole lot more fun that next day.
Yes.
Yeah, you're not. There's no point in going. We've all been there. We've all seen it in others when someone's just kind of groaning a little through their day because then we find out they've been doing 3 straight days of too much. Actually.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a good one. I'm a good one to ask it. I'm too old to have a firm stomach or toned legs.
Wow.
You heard that one before?
I have. I mean, it's well, I can't make changes now, but you can make changes anytime in your life. We've seen it in a lot of studies. Women 60 years of age and older who are increasing their lean body mass and reducing fat storage. You can definitely make a change at any age. The body's still going to function and work that way. You may want to change your diet a little bit, but you can make changes at any age. And we see it now. We have a lady at the facility who's 80 some odd years old, and she's increased her balance, which means she's increased her muscle control and her strength, so she can now stand on one foot. So if she's 83, 84 and making changes, anybody else can make changes as well.
I think the thing I've heard medically, which it doesn't refute that, but when I had the same question from my own doctor, how come I can't get rid of this last little? When you're older, your metabolism slows down. And she said, that's a fact. You can't change that. It's just a matter of how you work against that a little bit to make it minimal. But it is a fact. Age is age.
Yes, it is.
Living proof. Here's one that my husband actually asked me once. Running on a treadmill puts less stress on my knees than the pavement. And I have to say, whatever your answer is, I can run on a treadmill and I cannot run on the sidewalk or pavement. So I don't know there's a little absorption in that treadmill.
There is. A lot of decks that you come out with now on a treadmill have a lot of give to them.
Yep.
And they're a lot more forgiving than, say, the blacktop or the road or a sidewalk. If you're running in grass, you can get the same feel. A lot of the tracks now that they're putting in have the sponge surface.
That's right.
That's a lot easier. I know for myself personally, I can't go out and run on the road. My knees will kill me for the next 3 days. But I can go and run on a track such as Dartmouth or Lebanon.
They have some give.
They do have some give.
And so it's an absorption thing. I think even treadmill, which I said, I can notice the difference. So I totally buy into this one. This is not a myth as far as my own experience and obviously yours. If you're not sweating, you're not working hard. Like
I haven't heard that one. If you're not sweating, you're not working hard.
Or hard enough.
Or hard enough.
Everyone's different there.
Yeah,
I mean, some people. I work out with people who don't sweat. I'm living with a towel over my face the whole time. So other people say I never really sweat.
It's an individual's own body that makes it up and decides whether or not it's going to sweat and how it relieves heat from the body. Right. Then again, if you don't have enough water in your system, you're not going to sweat because the body's going to want to keep it. So you want to make sure that you keep yourself hydrated, especially if you're going to start an exercise program. Make sure you're drinking enough water. I know for myself, when I'm exercising, if I'm not sweating, all right, I don't think I have enough water in my system. You take a break, go to the water fountain, get some water in your system. The next thing you know, it's running down the side of your forehead. So you say, okay, I was a little dehydrated. That may be one of the issues. For other individuals, some people sweat a little bit, some people sweat a lot. It's all your own personal makeup of your body, and no one knows that better than the individual themselves.
Do you remember the old days? Old days. Oh my God, I can't believe I said that.
The old days.
You used to hear women perspire, men sweat.
Yes.
Well, I know most of the women I work out with sweat. And I don't think it's a bad thing, and I don't think it's a pejorative term in any way, because we all are working fairly hard.
It's healthy.
It's very healthy.
It's healthy in the fact that when you do perspire, you do sweat, you're cleaning the sweat glands out.
Yep.
That's a way of of continuing to help clean out your pores, because that's where the water is going to come out
Right.
of your body. And that's a healthy thing. It just helps to cleanse the body. Then you take a shower afterwards,
Yep.
you wash it off, and you feel a lot fresher and rejuvenated,
Yeah.
I feel, from that.
I'm one of the, I mean, if I didn't have a towel with me, I wouldn't make it through any class. But I feel better for it. I think, I know I worked, and I've been out for a little bit, so some of the stuff I'm getting back into is harder for me right now, the aerobics. So I'm a classic example that you sweat.
Or glow. We can call
I
it
can
glowing.
glow.
You can glow.
Okay. Here's one that I don't think we've talked about, but I remember talking about it with someone that was giving a tour of the facility once. Machines are safer because you're doing it right.
It's interesting. I know machines usually follow a fixed path.
Right.
It doesn't always mean it's going to be right for you, because the machine, you may not fit the machine may not fit you.
Exactly.
If you don't have the proper seat height or adjustments on it, you may be working in the wrong area that the machine is intended to work. So that is not always necessarily true, because you want to make sure you're fitting into the machine.
Right.
There are so many different ways of using proper form, so many different pieces of equipment you can use and still have proper form. Dumbbells, barbells, resistance bands. There's just a lot of different things you can do. Medicine balls and stability balls. A lot of pieces of equipment you can use. As long as you're using proper form, it's still going to be safe. But just the blanket statement that machines are better, you've got to fit the machine. I mean, as somebody who's 5'3" and somebody 6'4",
Exactly.
they may not be able to use the same machine because it's not going to be properly suited for both of them. I know we don't have machines that are suited to younger aged individuals because of their growth. We also don't have machines that are suited for somebody who's 6'6" and above. It's just what you may have and what you can find to at least get the proper seat heights and adjustments.
And that's also a good case for when you might want someone to show you around and get an orientation so that they could tell you what number, and then you could keep track of where that seat ought to be or where the handles ought to be. And
Right.
at least you'd be using the machine properly for you.
And that's probably the most important thing. If you want to get certain results, you want to make sure that they're using the machine properly. It's suited to you, or the height adjustments are suited to you. I know we have a couple of free motion machines, so you still have to have the path that the weights are going to go along, but you want to make sure that you have the right height that you're starting at. And it's a shoulder press machine, so you want to be sitting at the right level with your hands are at your shoulders. As you go up, you get full range of motion. We have a torso arm machine. If you're sitting too low, you may not be able to pull it all the way down. If you're sitting too high, it won't go all the way back up, so you don't get the full stretch. Those are not beneficial to you, because again, we've talked before. Absolutely counterproductive. And as we've said before, you want to do an exercise through the full range of motion, get that full stretch of the muscle. As we've said before, the more stretch that a muscle has, the stronger it can contract. So we want to be working through that full range of motion. Machines will give you that, but sometimes the machines can inhibit the range of motion, whereas a dumbbell or a flexibility band will allow you more freedom of movement, and that allows for better stability of the joint that you're working, whereas a machine necessarily isn't going to provide that. So it's a
kind
give
of
and
a
take
one-size-fits-all,
Yeah.
unless you have custom help with it. You have someone, absolutely, like getting spinning numbers so that you're at the right, same kind of thing. Don't do it without someone guiding you, or you not only aren't using the right form, but you may get hurt.
Yes, very true.
This is why I like freeways, just because I can drive them myself.
Well, I mean, that also brings in a lot of balance and coordination when you're using free weights, where machines don't always allow that to happen. It's a fixed path with the machine. So the balance and coordination of the movement aren't going to exist, whereas if you use the dumbbells, you've got to guide the path. You've got to have it, so you have to control it. So if you're doing a simple exercise like a shoulder press, that shoulder joint has to go through a lot of different things to allow you to perform that same path. Therefore, your back muscles are engaged, your lower back, your abs, a lot more things become involved with a free weight motion than a machine motion.
And also, it allows you to learn things you can do off-site.
Yes.
I mean, I have bands and dumbbells and everything at home, and I've learned through professionals, but It lets me at least know that when I'm doing it at home, I'm doing it right.
Yeah, and especially if you're doing it right, you're going to feel it in the right spots, and
Exactly.
that helps you when you're
Exactly.
outside the gym.
And you want to go back and do it again instead of whining for a while.
Yes.
No whining in your
No.
gym.
Okay.
Squat lifting is bad for my knees.
That brings in a huge myth when you do exercises involving the lower body that your knees can't go out over your toes.
Yeah.
I dare anybody, some people will be able to do it, but most of us cannot get out of a chair without putting our knees over our toes to stand up. Therefore, it's not a detriment to be doing an exercise where your knees go out over your
And
toes
we did
or
that
squatting.
on this stage one day.
We did.
I
We
was
did show
squatting
that.
and you were pointing out that my knees were over, and they should have been, where someone else might come along and say, oh, you're not in the right position.
Right.
As you said, I dare you to do it that way too often without falling over.
It's not easy. It's not easy. So the body was designed, and when you do squats,
Yeah.
people are talking about squats. One of the things when you do the squat, you want to keep the shoulder, the hip, and the ankle bone basically right in alignment.
Yep.
That's when you know you're doing a proper squat. That's how we should sit in a chair. That's how we should stand up.
Exactly.
Is to keep those things right in the proper form. And that's going to be the safest way to do a squat. The best way to do that is to do it in front of a mirror, have somebody show you, feel it the right way, and then do it in front of a mirror. And we often say sometimes when you want to do it at home, you can do what we call chair squats.
Yeah.
So you're sitting down in a chair, you touch the chair, you stand back up. And that's going to allow you to do the proper form.
And trainers will do that. I've been there. They'll have you sit down till you just barely touch it and then come back up. But that's the right form.
Right, and we do the same thing against the wall, where you'll lean against the wall, you slide down. Let me back up. Put your feet about 8 inches away from the wall, lean against the wall. Now slide down to a sitting position, lean out over your knees, your chest out over your knees, and stand back up. That puts you in the perfect position. That's a form of a squat that's very, very safe to do.
Yep.
But like we said, even getting in and out of a chair is a form of a squat as well.
We
And
do it
they're-
every
and
day.
They're very, very safe.
We do it all day, every day. Here's what we were coming back to. You should never exercise every day. And that you have to, that's a quantitative thing. I mean,
Right.
you have to qualify what you're going to, you
What-
can do it every day if you mix it up and aren't intense
Yes.
2 days in a row. I mean,
Well, there are a lot of different things you can do.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it a lot, whereas, all right, on Monday, I may work my shoulders, my arms, and my back. And on Tuesday, I'm going to work my legs and my chest, or whatever the breakup might be. Wednesday, I'm going to do cardio, and then go back to Wednesday or Thursday and do the same thing I did on Monday. So you can exercise every day if you split it up. Again, you want to give the muscle group that you're working 2 days rest before you work it again. It doesn't say you can't do cardio every day, which is fine, and we do a form of it for
A
the
lot
most
of
part.
it, yeah. I mean, I know people that only walk, but they walk every day, and they may walk 10 miles every day. That's a heck of a good exercise.
Yes, it is.
And if you put one of those in between 2 days of resistance, that's a perfectly good balance.
Yeah, it is a good balance.
And in fact, I think balance is key. I think some people get into the routine of, I used to be somewhere where I was lifting every day. And I learned through my PCP, actually, that it really wasn't something I needed to be doing.
Yeah, you definitely want to have that rest, and we've talked about it. We've seen people at the facility who do the old Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Then they come in and they ask us, why are my weights going down? Why am I not getting stronger? I should be. I'm in here 3 days a week. I'm working hard. I'm sweating, as you said before, doing all these things. Why am I not getting gains? And the fact is, we're not giving the body time enough to recover. We've said this in a prior show as well. I go into a gym on Monday. I'm at 100%. My body's 100% ready to go. No matter whatever I want to do, I'm 100% of what my body should be at. So I do a full body workout. I come into the gym on Tuesday. My body's only going to be about 75 to 80% of where it was the day before because I've got to recover.
Yep.
Wednesday, I'm only going to be about 90% of where I was because I'm still in that recovery phase. Remember, we talked about those enzymes that's building the body back up. That takes 48 hours. So on Wednesday, I'm only 90%. Now, if I work out on Wednesday and then I do the thing Friday, my line's going down.
Yeah.
If I wait till Thursday, I'm 110% of where I was Monday. So now I'm above where I was. I exercise. I give myself another 2 days rest, exercise again on, say, Sunday. that line is going up. That's where I get my gains because I'm getting that rest in between.
And I think it's a mentality that you get once you're hooked on exercise. You think
Yes.
you think a day off is sluggish and couch potato-ish and all that kind of thing. I mean, you
True.
don't need to take a total day off in the sense that it sounds like you can still do something. And I always find a way. I mean, I even have a volunteer job where I get 4 miles of walking in.
Well, yeah, you're going to do something. You can do something. And the biggest thing is that I hope people can understand it takes 7 days. And we've said this before. If you exercise once every 7 days, you will maintain what you have. I mean, that's not a bad thing. You don't want the overkill of working every single day and you just drudgery and then you don't like it. So you don't want to go back to the gym and now it's not fun.
Yep.
Give yourself that time off. It's great to refresh. It's not harmful. Even if you take 4 days off, you're still okay. It's every 7 days. You'll still maintain what you have.
Yeah, I think there's always that thing that, gee, I feel guilty not going into the gym today, that kind of thing.
You're right.
Or I'm going to be away and I'm not going to be near a facility. I was away all weekend. I walked a lot, but I had a band with me because of, luckily that kind of thing you can pack. And just for a few minutes
Yeah.
in the morning, it just feels like I did something for myself.
There you go.
Okay, here's a good one. Longer workouts at lower intensity will burn more fat.
Longer workouts at
Less intensity.
less intensity burns more fat.
I'm not sure.
That's the old LSD situation, long, slow distance.
Yeah.
And now we're finding that interval training is going to be better for the metabolization of fat, where you're up and down, your heart rate's goes up, and then you rest a little bit and come back, and
Yep.
goes back up and goes back down. They're finding that's better for your stamina and cardiovascular fitness. But then we've talked about numbers, and if we had a board and we could put numbers out there.
We are next time.
Yeah, we will have to because we can talk
We
about
have it all
this.
planned.
If you're exercising for a longer period of time, what you're doing if you're going to do more reps with a lower weight, that's muscular endurance. That's not necessarily strength. Now you want to do an exercise program that's going to encompass everything: strength, muscular endurance, interval, that type of situation. So just doing one, you're only going to stress one part of the muscle fibers that you have, because we all have fast twitch and slow twitch and combination thereof muscle fibers within our body. So if we're only doing long, slow exercises, we're only working the slow twitch muscle fibers. So we want to do some things, movements that are explosive. So we work the fast twitch muscle fibers, which would be sprinting or jumps, things of that sort that really get the fast twitch muscle fibers going. It just gives you a better all-around workout.
And I think the word interval is underrated or underspoken because I think I've always been told that anything that you do in an interval is better for you, whether it's a minute walk, a minute run, a minute walk, a minute run on a treadmill, or minute, 2 minute, whatever.
Right.
Up and down, up and down. Your heart is stronger for that. I mean, it's just a better cardio workout to mix it up. Put some incline on there.
Yeah.
Do everything you can to change it from just a flat walk at the same speed for the whole half hour.
Well, it goes right back to what we just said, too. If you think about it, the heart is a muscle. If we only work it at one level, we're only going to get strong at that one level. But if we get it going up and down and back and forth, and it's beating fast, and then it gets to recover, and it beats fast again and recover, that's better for it because it's a muscle. It's just like any other muscle in your body. You want to train it in a variety of ways.
Right. They think of it as so fragile, too fragile. I mean, they think if I get up to my maximum heart rate, that it's going to burst. I mean, I've heard, and a trainer, very many trainers I've seen have made that part of the hour, is to bring you up, bring you down, bring you up to the point where you think you can't go anymore. And it's afterwards, it feels great. At the time, you think, I'm going to explode. Okay, we have time for one more.
All right.
No pain, no gain. Talk about a myth.
That's a big one. That's a big one. Generally, if you feel pain, something's wrong. Something is wrong. You shouldn't feel pain while you're lifting. You're going to feel a little bit of a burn and maybe some discomfort from using the muscle. And you might feel a little bit of pain afterwards. But a lot of times pain will feel that you're tearing the muscles. Now, you're going to get micro tears as you exercise. That's part of it, and that's part of the body adapting, overcoming that stress, becoming stronger for the next time you do it. But yeah, that's the old adage, no pain, no gain. You're going to feel pain And it shouldn't be pain. It should be more discomfort. Yeah, it's a feeling. Yeah, I know I did something the other day.
Oh, make him stop. Yeah.
Right. It's not that, oh, wow, I can't move. I'm so lame. I can't sit down. You've gone a little bit too far.
Yep.
That's what you might get.
And it always was that, because it was always, tough it out. Don't,
Push through it.
push through it. Some things you can, and you know them when you see them. But boy, I tell you, I took a fall one day on the step in a class, and I literally ended up in a splits. I had a hamstring that was so unhappy with me. I mean, I knew that wasn't one I could work through.
Right.
I knew I had to stop right then and there.
You have to stop.
But the other, when you're a kid, you say, I don't want to be that. I don't want to look like a whiner. I don't want to look like a sissy. I'll just go through it, and you can do some serious damage that way.
You can. I think that myth just comes back to when people did exercising or resistance training. There was a burn that was associated with the muscles because there's a lack of oxygen and a lack of whatnot, blood and whatnot within the muscle because of what you're doing. That's the burn, the byproduct of muscular contractions. That's what you feel. That's the pain, but it shouldn't be a pain. It should be more of a discomfort. You just know you're exercising.
Burn to me, at this point, is just natural. I mean, when you do something really tough, really intensely, you burn. There's a burn in that muscle that you're working, but it's not going to last forever, and it's over as soon as you switch to another drill.
If you stop and go for a little walk, it goes away. Yeah.
So there is a big difference, but that's I've outgrown that, and I think as you get older, you learn how to read your body better also.
Yeah,
you know that didn't feel right. I'm not going to. There's no reason for me to keep going and try to get through this. That feels really odd, and that's just those of us with experience.
Yes.
We learn, and you learn sometimes the hard way.
Yes. Oh yeah. Okay.
And I've been there. You've been there. We all have. Well, listen. You did it again.
This is amazing. It really is.
We say this every time because we both could talk about this forever.
I feel like we just started
We
talking.
We did, seemingly.
Then why is it 30 minutes later already?
Well, because I wish there's a few other things in the world you wish did go that fast.
Right. Time flies when you're having fun.
It does, but we have fun. Larry and I can talk fitness forever. We're both kind of, well, he's been at it longer than I have, but ever since I did training and got really hooked, it goes on the calendar first, and everything else has to go around it. That's just, I make out my week, and
Not a bad
people
thing.
like yourself that want to come in here and do this, I say, yeah, you'll have to wait, not till after X, Y, Z. And it's a good feeling because that's a priority for me.
Yeah.
It isn't for everybody, but it is for me.
Should be.
Well, as you can tell, we can go on about this, and we will again go on about this. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, Larry's contact information will be on the screen, as will mine. And we welcome questions. I mean, we have, these are commonly asked questions, believe me. And if you have any at all, or even ideas of people you'd like to see on the show, just holler. We're very open to that. And Larry will attest to the fact that we're very flexible around here.
Yes, we are.
We change dates and times and make it work because we want to do it. So if you have any questions for Larry around fitness, just please holler. He will answer you. And questions for me, I'll defer to him. But questions about the show or a guest you'd like to send me, I'm taking them all. So please do. And I thank you again.
My pleasure.
We've just blown through that again.
It's
It's phenomenal.
Yes. But thank you.
But it's always fun when he's here because it's a subject near and dear to both our hearts, and so that's why it goes so fast. So thank you very much for watching, and I always put up on Facebook when Larry will be on, and hopefully people will share it with their friends, so it goes beyond just my little world of Facebook, and you'll know when you'll see this. So keep listening, keep watching, and send your friends. Take care.